Today, November 15th, 2013, I was gang stalked again by the Reynoldsburg Police Department. As I left home a little after 6 a.m. in a residential neighborhood, a street, a Reynoldsburg police car blocked the street and stood in front of his car. He put his car lengthwise across the street and he just stood in front of his car. And I sat there for a few minutes and he didn't say anything or do anything. So after a few minutes, I started to slowly go around him and he motioned for me to go back the other way. So I turned around and went back the other way. There was nothing going on. I didn't see any other police cars. There was only one other person, which I believe was another stalker, because they just sat in the driveway with their brake lights on, their red brake lights on, which is something they do. And they just sat there for as long as I sat there waiting for the police officer. And then when he motioned for me to go back the other way and I reversed into a different driveway, then that person left to go in front of the stop sign to leave before me and went ahead of me and was driving very slow. But as long as I sat there, the person sat in the driveway next to me with their brake lights on. And then this evening, around a little bit after 6 p.m., I was driving and there was a car in front of me and the area was very congested. And I was looking, I had my car turned to the side and I was looking to see, what all the congestion was, and the car in front of me was stopped. And then they let a person out. The Reynoldsburg police came up behind me and flashed their lights and made a noise. And I drove on because I didn't feel I did anything wrong. And then they banged on my car. Someone banged on my car loudly three or four times. So I stopped and I looked around and a Reynoldsburg police officer came to the side of my car with his flashlight and questioned me about where I had been, if I was on any medication, if I have any health problems, if I have any heart problems, who lived with me. And several times he told me, well, at least twice he told me, do you want me to call a squad for you? I said, no, I'm fine. I haven't done anything wrong. I'm not doing anything wrong. And he asked me again, I'm going to call a squad for you. And I said, no, I'm fine. I may not have said no, but I said, I'm fine. I haven't done anything wrong. And he told me that people complained to him about me and my driving, and why would they do that? Why would they say that about me? So twice today I was gang stalked by the Reynoldsburg Police Department, and they tried to get me to tell them information about myself and who I lived with and if I was on any medication, if I had any health problems. And then he told me he was going to cite me for reckless driving. He told me that several times. And he told me that he was, that he had people, that someone had followed me to where I was because I did something to that person, and the person followed me to where I was, so they knew where I was, and that they were going to cite me for reckless driving. And he kept trying to get me to tell him where I came from, and he asked me over and over again, where was I coming from, and if I cooperate, he'll let me go. And he kept me there for about a half an hour sitting there while he was behind me with his lights flashing. And then he said, why would these people say this about you? And then he said that he was going to cite me for reckless driving and give me a ticket, but he was going to go and have these several people who complained about me, he was going to have them sign a statement. And so I sat there, like I said, for about a half an hour. And then in the end, he gave me back my driver's license and said, have a nice day or have a nice evening or something like that.